Saturday morning and it's time to wash the bike. But today I'm not just going to be doing a wash because the bike needs a wash. It certainly doesn't. But I'm going to be trialing or testing this new piece of kit that I bought to help me with my bike cleaning process. As you can see, the bike really doesn't have any dirt on it. It's actually just got a little bit of dust. And but when you see what the equipment that I just bought is, then you'd realize why I'm going to be washing the bike even though it's clean. Comes in a tiny little box here, probably 1.5 foot long by about 10 inches tall. And I'll just do a quick unboxing right now. Okay, everything is out of the box and spread out on my workbench. There's the unit right there. It comes with a nice long hose that's coiled up, but apparently when you turn the machine on, it just expands. It comes with 3 nozzles here and the 4 casters that I talked about and a little gimmicky wrench here. And I believe this is the filter. It's a sponge filter. It comes with that. It's a single motor unit, so only one motor. I understand the professional ones come with a couple of motors. This one and it comes with some instructions. The instruction provides a parts list, but it doesn't actually tell you how to put it together. Not that there's much to do. You'll have to figure it out yourself. These casters go underneath on those four legs like that, and the sponge, the only shape where this sponge would fit would be here. So I guess there's a knob. You just unscrew this, pull this cover off, and there should be a space in there for the sponge. This is what I'm thinking. It has a sponge in there already, so that's a spare. Okay, I'll put this back on and then put the casters on. This is a threaded hole at the bottom, and this is the bolt that is gonna go in here. And I guess you use a little wrench to tighten it. This little wrench. And there's a reason why it's flat, so that it can fit the thickness of that nut. Good, all the casters are on now. I just wanted to show each one of these casters has got a little brake that you can do like that to lock the wheel in place. So that's pretty cool. The little handle folds, that's nice. And now we're gonna attach the hose onto the end. This here piece comes off. So this is a retaining clip of sorts. So let me take that off. And this is what it looks like. As you can see, there are a couple of tabs there, and they're on one side of the ring, so they can only go into this slot one way. And I guess that's to engage with this groove on the end here. So you just push this in and put the clip on. You push that on, you can see that the slot is exposed there, and then you put the retaining ring on in the correct orientation and capture those grooves like that. Doing this all with one hand as usual. And there it is, it's locked on. And the switches on this thing here, there's a heating switch and an airflow switch, high and low. 4 settings, heating, high and low, and then an off in between, an airflow high and low. I'm not going to turn this on here on the workbench because from what I understand, this thing expands quite a lot. It's I think 16 feet long, so I don't want to have a lot of hose expanded on my workbench where I've got no space. So let's go wash the bike, and then I'll resume this when I start the drying process. Good, the bike is all washed and it's ready for drying. As you can see, it comes with a fair length of cord. If I can find the length of it, I'll put it up on the screen. And it comes with these 3 attachments. I guess I'll start with, I'll test them all. I guess the smallest one here would be for like engine crevices, and these flat ones would be for like engine, panels, body panels and stuff like that. This bike doesn't have a lot of big body panels, so I'll probably start with this smaller one here. Stick that on the end and let's see how it goes. Now they mentioned in another video that I've seen, another review video, how this hose expands. Let's see how it expands. I'll turn this thing on now. I'll just turn it on airflow for now, the high airflow setting, and see how it goes. Oops. Come here. Okay, as you can see, it expanded quite a bit. Heating is on high. I've got the casters locked so that it doesn't roll away because my driveway is sloped. And I can feel the heat coming off at the end right now. It hasn't built up to full heat yet, but it's getting warm. So right now it's on high heat, high airflow. Let's see how it works. I'm going to start from the top and go downward. Now this is pretty, lots of crevices here, and I'm using the flat tool, so maybe this is not the right tool for this area. So let's just look at some panels here now, since I've got that flat tool on. Very nice. I'll finish out the tank and I'll resume. I'm amazed at what a good job this thing does. Let me show you. In no time at all, I've got these panels here nice and dry to the appearance anyway. They're probably microscopic bits of water on it when you first stop, but the heat takes care of that. Of course, you can see a few drops on that, but that's because you've got to get an order to blow drying your bike. It's very important to get an order straight, because areas that you think you dried and then you blow something else and then it puts water all over the place that you dried. But yeah, that medium flat panel, flat tool does a damn good job for a motorbike, because it's not as directed, but it's not as wide. So for a motorbike like this one here, it does a pretty darn good job all over. But you've got to get that order done right. And another thing too, when you turn it off, the hose contracts right back up again. And that hose got pretty warm, so it pumps out a lot of heat. And like I said, that thing is really quiet. I had dried this. You see, this is what I'm talking about. I dried this and then I blew something else above, and then it got some dots on it again. So some drops of water. So I'm going to finish drying this bike and then give you final thoughts on this Shelandy mobile dryer. But I think it's a great purchase so far. Well, the bike is completely done and as dry as I'm going to bother getting it right now. The good news, well, there's only good news. I find no downside to this dryer at this point. I do have a couple of tips to share, and I'll share that in a few minutes regarding strategy. But yeah, did a great job drying the bike pretty much to where I want it to be dried. There's some spots there, but one of the things you'll realize when you use a dryer is how many crevices a motorcycle has. Before, you used to kind of gloss over it with your chamois, and you probably didn't appreciate as much how many crevices there are on a motorbike. But you'll soon find out with a dryer, because as soon as you dry some area, you'll find you'll be blowing all your water back onto another area that you previously dried. So you will be going over the bike a couple of times, and it will seem to take longer, but it comes out drier. There's a couple of drips there. So there's a couple of strategies that you want to take into account. Oh, and I didn't mention, I've got one of these I've got cool covers, ear covers. So it stands off your butt from the seat by a little gap. And when you wash your bike, the water gets trapped inside there, so that when you sit on the bike afterwards, your butt gets wet. But with this dryer, as you can see how small the hose is coiled up when you turn it off. But with that dryer, you can blow air from the high side down, and you should take into account the slope of the bike too, and try and drive from the high side down. Use gravity as much as possible. But you can blow from this side and blow out all the air, blow out all the water, or most of the water, and this feels pretty much dry to the touch. It's not going to wet your pants, so that's pretty good. But having dried the whole bike, one thing I can say is I would recommend that you go over the whole bike with that nozzle. Start with all the crevices, blow out all the air out of all of the little holes, like in here, all of that kind of stuff, all the air, all the water out of the engine crevices, blow that all out. They'll go onto the panels, they'll go wherever they have to go, but at least you blow that out. And then you go over the bike from top to bottom, and from the highest point when it's leaned over, I would think it helps. So you go over the whole bike and you try and get an order whereby you're blowing towards wet areas. So you go over the whole bike, and then if you want afterwards, you can switch over to that nozzle that I had on first. This is the one that I'm talking about. You can go over it with this. For a larger bike, you're probably going to go over with the wider one, but you can go over the whole bike again with that flat panel and then clean up any drips that are remaining. But I think that I would go over the whole bike with the small nozzle, take care of all the crevices first, and then go over with the flat tool. As for the dryer itself, my God, what a neat little unit. Again, one of the pros of this thing, it is very quiet. Very quiet. With the casters locked, it didn't roll off my roll down my driveway or anything like that. This hose here expands. It'll go right around the whole bike. I didn't move this thing once, so it'll go around the whole bike, size of a tracer anyway. It'll go over any bike, I think. It'll go around any bike. And it's fairly light, so it's easy to handle. The machine is quiet and it gets pretty darn hot. So I dried the bike without stopping because I wanted to see how running everything on high was gonna, affect the motor, if it was gonna cut out or anything like that. It never cut out. It was on full heat and full airflow, and it worked like a charm. So no cons on this machine. I give it a thumbs up.